guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hey, I am Charm, also known as Charm Crochets. I did crochet Valko. With everything going on, I just felt compelled to, and you see the title of the video. I decided that I would like to share how I made him with you guys. Now, if you're coming here from Instagram, then you will have probably already seen my little Valko. Don't worry, you can use this tutorial for both. It does not matter. It's just a matter of what size hook you want to use and what size yarn you want to use. But I didn't stop there. When the trailer came out, my favorite outfit of his was actually his lab coat outfit. And here we are. Here is his second outfit. This is when he's in the lab and he's cooking up his stuff, because I guess he was like a scientist of the Eon Core company. I guess we'll never know anymore at this point. We'll just never know, okay? They spent millions of dollars and 2 years developing this character, and they spent millions to hype him up and gave him so much lore and then just deleted it. So what you will need to make your very own Valko is an 8mm hook for this project, yarn for his skin, yarn for his hair, and yarn for his body. And by the way, all of this is weight 7, unless I say otherwise, because I did use some other weights, but I'll let you know if I did. I also have white yarn here to make his lab coat. I need wire to do his glasses. You're gonna want at least 1 stitch marker and 1 tapestry needle. I recommend, if you're gonna make him jumbo and use a larger size yarn, I recommend a tapestry needle like this. You can use the metal ones. I just prefer these ones when it comes to the bigger yarn. Safety eyes. I use sinker eye washers because I like the look of the eye sinking into the face, because I think it's cuter. So these type of washers are good. I think that's what they're called, washers. I don't know. That's what I've heard, so I could be wrong. One last thing for the eyes is going to be his eye color. And then this is optional, but I highly recommend it, especially if you want your Valko to look like mine, is to use my Amigurumi Chibi pattern. You'll be able to find it on my Etsy, and it's just going to be a full guide on how to do chibis like mine. It'll show you how I did the body. You don't have to use it to make Valko because he's pretty simple. All it is just doing black for his whole body, since his outfit is all black, and then just doing his skin color for his arms and his head. But if you want it to have the chubby chibi look that mine has, then I recommend using the pattern. It's in my description. And if you want to use any of the other items I listed, they'll also be in the description. So in this tutorial, I'll be showing you the modifications that I made to my chibi in order to turn it into Valko. So you can go ahead and make your chibi either using my pattern that I mentioned, or you can find another one. It doesn't matter, as long as his body is made with black yarn to replicate his clothes, and then you use obviously like his skin color for his head and his arms, and then come back to me. We're gonna have the exact same base, and then you can work with me when I make his different accessories. And with that being said, let's get started in the tutorial so that you can make your own Valko. It's time to do his irises. Take your rolled yarn and just thread your needle. So stick it through the side of the face like this, and then try to get towards like the side of the eye. Try to get as close to the eye as you possibly can, and pull a decent amount of string. I pull maybe way too much, I don't know. And then insert it into the other part of the eye. And then you could just like put it out anywhere. So you can see it's starting to form. And then usually I hit it twice. So I'm gonna go through again. And make sure that when you're going in, like if you did what I just did, make sure you're going into the exact same hole that your thread was already through. Otherwise it'll show on top. I'm just gonna go a little bit higher because I want the iris to show a bit more. And then put it through here. So then just pull it as tight as you want, depending on how big you want your like pupils to be. I'm gonna go ahead and do it again on this side. As you can see, his irises are added and it adds a whole new vibe. And then once you finish the eyes, just take your needle and go through the same hole that you already have your thread through, and then go through the face until you're at the hole where you started, and then you can remove the needle and then just tie off those two threads, but make sure that you're not tying too tight because that can warp the way that the eyes look. Cut it, tie it off, and then weave it in. Yeah, and just cut the rest off, and then stuff it in there. There you go. Now it's time for the eyebrows. This is the color I'm going to use for his hair, so I'm going to use it for his eyebrows. So just loop your thing again. I like to give him kind of a pouty look. So as you can see, my other one, his eyebrows are very pouty and very bushy, so that's what we're going to do, because the real Valko has, well, he's not real, but the one in the game does have big eyebrows, kind of. Start by sticking your needle through the side of Valko's face and pull it through above his eye wherever you want to start the eyebrow. And then turn your needle, locate where you want your eyebrow to be finished, and then stick your needle through there and then pull it through and pull it out where you started the eyebrow itself. And then just repeat it as many times as you want, depending on how thick you want his eyebrow to be. For me, I repeated it 3 times for both eyebrows. There we go, those are his bushy eyebrows. Now he's pouting, and then all we have to do is just bring the needle back to where we started. And then, you know the drill, tie it off. And then like if it gets too tight, just like stick the needle through and like push it out a little bit more. And then for his wig, I used this YouTube tutorial on how to make Zoro's hair, because Valko's hair is very short and spiky, and I wanted his hair to be very wild, and I really liked the way that this artist did her hair. So I'm gonna put the link in the description. I followed the tutorial, but I did alter it a bit to match the head of my chibi, because his head is really big. So you may or may not have to alter it depending on what pattern you use, but if you're using mine, then I will put my alterations that I did on the screen right now, and I also will explain some things I also did that changed the pattern. But besides that, I pretty much did exactly what she did. I did 4 chains, so 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna skip a chain, slip stitch into the first one after the one you skipped. Then you're gonna single crochet into the second, and then the third you're gonna half double crochet. You're just gonna continue to do that until we get to the front section. When you get to the front section, okay guys, we've made it to the last row. Yeah, as you can see, like this is gonna be basically his hairline, and I like to make the hairs here shorter. So instead of doing 4 like how I modified it to be, just go back to doing 2 like the tutorial says, and then skip a stitch, do a slip stitch, and then do a single crochet, and then 1, 2, go into here, just like she shows, and just do that all across the hairline until you get back to the scalp, and then you have the hairline. Here we go. This is his hair so far. Just once you have it, just fit it to his head as much as possible. Make sure everything's even. And then normally if you did a small one, you can go ahead and hot glue it. I don't know how hot glue will work for something this big. I'm gonna maybe use a little bit, but really we're gonna rely on sewing, which is good, because if you follow the tutorial, there's a lot of like ends we have to weave in now. And a good hack is to use these ends to do any sewing you have to do. That's just what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna sew his little wig as much as possible. Actually, I'm gonna start up here. So when you have the one at the top, you take that and just stick it through and stick it pretty deep. Make sure that you're getting into not just the wig or whatever, but you're also getting his actual flesh, and then just seal that in. That way now we have the center of his hair added, and you can do it a few more times just to secure it. So now we just have to sew it down some more. So let's see. Here we go. This is the type of stitch that I prefer because it doesn't show as much. Like if I were to do a different type of stitch, I don't want the red stitches to show too much on the skin, because then it just doesn't look good. Secure it, and then just repeat that for the other sideburn, and we'll be back. Once you finish sewing this sideburn, you can take the excess thread from the sideburn. You don't have to cut it, and just continue along the hairline to sew the hairline to his face. So, and just do the same thing with this thread. And if your thread is too short, it's okay to add some more. I just prefer to do it this way because it's easier. But if your thread is short and you ran out, just go ahead and get a different thread. Or if you prefer to hot glue, then go ahead. I normally do, but with ones this large, I prefer sewing because it's just more secure. And there you go. The front of his head is finished. Do it the side. It's the same thing. Threading your yarn and then just sewing. Just turn it around. Now we have to deal with the back. His wig has been attached. So you're gonna need red yarn for his ear color, black yarn for the inside of his ears, and then you're gonna need your hook. First thing that you want to do is make a slip stitch, and then we're gonna chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now that we've chained 3, we're gonna skip the first chain, and then single crochet into the second and third chain from the hook, and then chain 1. Now for row 2, we're going to increase in the first stitch, so just single crochet once, and then into that same stitch single crochet twice, and then do 1 single crochet, then chain 1, turn your work. We're going to do 1 single crochet into the first stitch, 2 single crochets into the next stitch, so we're going to do an increase, and then 1 single crochet into the last stitch, and then chain 1, 1 single crochet into this stitch, 2 single crochets into this stitch, 1 single crochet into the rest of the stitches. So now I think we should have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, chain 1, turn your work, and then as I'm going, I'm also taking the tail with me so I don't have to weave it in later. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then increase on the 3rd stitch, and then just continue doing single crochets until you reach the end. And then my tail has officially been weaved in right here, so I'm just gonna clip it off. Now I don't have to weave that in pieces. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, increase at the 3rd, single, single, single. There should be 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now this is gonna be the last one, last row. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, and then increase, and then just finish off the last 3 with just single crochet. And then there you go. Cut it off. Leave enough to sew it to his head, and if you're gonna do an inner, leave enough to sew that too. The inner one, it's exactly the same, it's just gonna be smaller. But yeah, there you go. Those are the ears. Now you can just sew the inner and outer ear together. Make sure that the inner ear stays centered. You can pin it down if you want, but you don't have to. And then just repeat all of that again to get the second ear. Let's see. Period. Doesn't that look so cute? Oh my gosh, so cool. Okay. And then I do recommend pinning this just so that you know exactly where you're going to be sewing it. And so I just use stitch markers for it. If you have those amigurumi pin things, I'm sure those work too. And then just sew to make sure that it's really secure. I sewed on both sides of the ear, the front and the back, and then just fasten it off. And that's it. Here we go. His ears have been added. What you want to do first is you want to make a magic circle. And then we're going to do 4 single crochets into that magic circle. 3. Pull it tight. Then we're going to, for our second round, we're going to increase in every stitch so that we can end up with 8 stitches. Now we're going to increase in the first stitch and then go around the rest, and we should end up with 9 stitches. Okay, now for this round we're just going to do no increases. We're just going to do single crochets around the whole round. For this next round, we're gonna increase in the first stitch only again. So we're gonna have 10 stitches now. And then just go around the round, no increasing. So every other row we're gonna increase in the first stitch until we get to 12 stitches. Okay, now we're gonna increase to 11. in this round, and then just continue. Now we're going to do 11 across the whole thing. Okay, now we're going to increase for the last time. Now it's 12. So just go around the round again with single crochets. And then go around the whole round with just single crochet. And then I'm just gonna stuff it. I want my tail to be pretty stiff, so that it can kind of stand, Now that you did your tail, we can attach it now. But before we do, I did want to add butt cheeks to him. So I will be doing that. If you don't want to add butt cheeks, you don't have to. If you want to do, if you want to add a butt, squish his cheeks. Get the stuffing to really be in the butt area so that it can be nice and plump. Then get some yarn the same color as his pants. Insert it from his thigh. I'm gonna just do like this. So from his thigh, exit here in the middle of the cheeks, and then wherever you want the butt, and then just keep doing it depending on how plump you want the cheeks to be. Oh my gosh, he's thick. And then yeah, keep playing with the butt. I'm squeezing it to be pretty tight because I want a pretty defined butt. So yeah, this is how you give your plushies a BBL. If you don't want him to be double cheeked up, I personally think it's funny and cute, so I'm gonna do it. But yeah, that's it. And then you're just gonna put your needle through where you began. It's kind of hard. There you go. And then just fasten it off like you've done with everything else in the project. Okay, there you go. There's the butt. To make his belt, you're gonna need gray felt, your hook, some black yarn, and hot glue. If you're doing a smaller one, like this one, I just did the whole belt with felt, and then I just colored that in black. Just take your Valko, keep him nearby, and then just chain to the size of his waist. If you're following my exact way of the way I did it, so you're following my pattern, you're using the same hook size, yarn size, you probably don't need to measure it. You can just follow what I'm doing. I'll tell you how many chains I end up doing. I'm trying out this drink I just made. I don't know how to pronounce it. It starts with a Z. Zobo, I think. And I'm sick. And I saw that it has like a bunch of like pineapples and like oranges. And it also has like ginger, cloves, stuff like that. Stuff that's good for like sickness. So I'm like, let me make some. Because I wanted to make some in this summer. And now I made it. And it's really good. And it's sugar free. I used agave to sweeten it. I never made it before, but I saw it on TikTok and I was like, you know what? Let me try something new. Okay, so this is a chain of 50. So if your Valko is the same size as mine, then go ahead and just chain 50. If you're not sure, just do exactly what I did. All I did was I chained and then I measured it against his waist. And then when I was happy with it, I stopped. So now we're just gonna skip the first chain and then single crochet 49 along the chain. So after we have our belt here, we have these two. You don't have to cut them off or weave them in yet because we're going to use them. Now take your gray felt and we're going to cut a square out of it. All I have is kids at this right now, so ignore that. And then we're going to make a slit, and then we're going to cut out the inside and just leave the outside. Basically, I'm just adding a little bit of hot glue onto the very end of this corner of the felt, and then just putting that piece on there to stick it. That's it. Keep the hot glue running though, because we're gonna need it again. And then I'm gonna push this through so it's looped like a real belt. Isn't that cute? I like my stuff to be as secure as possible. I get really paranoid. So I'm gonna put some hot glue on this part of the belt buckle. And then I'm gonna close it. Now just sew it because the hot glue isn't enough. Okay? You're gonna need it to be sewed some more. So I'm just gonna sew it to make sure it's really attached and on there. And then, you know the drill. But I'm gonna save this so I can put that through the body. And then save this one for later too. But yeah, that's our belt buckle. And we're gonna put this belt on. So let's see. For now, just loop the belt through our felt buckle. Now our buckle is looped. So what you want to do, take that same one that we just weaved in, take that, or that we just used to sew to the buckle together, and then sew the belt together with it. Just make sure it's really secure and on there. And then we're gonna take this one that we haven't done anything yet with. We're gonna take this and then sew the belt to his body. The front of the belt to his body. Now we're gonna need the hot glue again to secure this buckle to his body. So just take your hot glue gun, dab some hot glue where you want the buckle to go. And then I'm not going to burn myself again, so I'm just going to use this dowel to secure that in there. Oh shit. So now we have to move on to the back, because as you can see, it's kind of lifting a little bit. It's lifting a little bit because of the tail. So to fix this, I'm going to sew the belt kind of around the tail a little bit so that it can actually fit him properly. If your tail isn't having this issue, don't worry about it. You can skip this step. In and then pull it out. Probably gonna need like that much. And then just sew the belt along here to secure it. So I'm gonna show you how to do these glasses. What you're gonna need is some wire. This is actually a lot more wire. I have like a whole thing. Like, see? A bunch of wire. Okay. Get your wire and get like a round thingy. first, and I'm following a tutorial I got from TikTok, so I will link that tutorial. They'll probably explain it better than I do, but I'll show you guys on here. So basically, you take your round thingy and you loop the wire around the round thingy so that it makes a circle. Then you can take it off, and then you can fold your wire behind the round thingy. So that's hole number 1 for the glasses. And then, let me see, it needs to be flipped over. So let me see, I'm gonna put it in his eye or his face to mark it, because basically how these glasses are gonna work is not gonna work on his ears. It's just gonna be stabbed into his face. Then I'm gonna use this. Now I can mark out, like, move that out of the way. I'm gonna put it in here, and then I'm gonna use this to kind of mark where I want to start the other hole or circle, and I want to start it like right here. So I'm gonna like just do a little indent so that I know where I want to start it. And I'm gonna take the glasses off, and then I'm gonna put it back into the thingy, and then wrap the wire around it, and then take it off. And then we have our other circle, and then just fold it down so that we can have another part that stabs into his face, and then we cut it at around the same length as the other one. There we go. Really, you should get some like wire cutting scissors. I don't have any, and this wire is really soft, so it's okay. And then just test it out on his face. So you're probably gonna need to adjust them a little bit more and move them around a little bit more. Okay, so there you go. Those are his glasses. You can stop there, but I'm gonna go a little extra step, and I'm gonna make his glasses black. And then to make the glasses black, I just wrapped it in weight for black yarn. I used the method that is shown in this YouTube video here for amigurumi glasses to wrap it. So I'll just put it right here and link it in the description if you want to get a more detailed visual on how I wrap the glasses. I also used Gorilla Glue to like place it on the glasses periodically just so that, you know, it could stay stable, because wrapping it can be secure, but it's not enough. So I just started it by dabbing a little bit of glue and then wrapping it with my thread and needle and stuff, which I'll show you right after this voiceover. Just thread your yarn, and then you just go through and pull it to loop it. I already have one that's kind of glued here. I'm trying to, and then like add glue periodically on the glasses to like make sure that it's secure in place. But yeah, you just thread it through like you're sewing. Sometimes it'll get caught, like right now. I'm just gonna kind of secure it around this part of the wire. Just make sure everything's secure. Go over it a few times. And then when you get to this part, you don't really have to thread it anymore because it's a little bit easier to go and wrap around it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some more of my Gorilla Glue on a stick and just like put it on here because I'm about to be done wrapping the glasses. And you want to do glue at the end, and then you just wrap it tightly around that Gorilla Glue. Then I'm gonna go back over it again. Just do it until you feel secure. I'm pretty happy with it. So now I'm just gonna cut it and leave just a teeny little tail. So like, literally cut it that short. Honestly, I probably would have. Probably a little bit shorter. Cut. Okay. Then take a little bit more glue, a tiny bit. And when you cut it and when you do this, try to do it where you're not going to see it as much. And then take the object and just push the end in there. Okay? And then your glasses are wrapped. You don't have to wrap the part that's going to go into his face. Actually, it's easier if you don't do that. Or it's better if you don't. Yeah, those are his glasses, and as you can see, mine got kind of deformed, so I'm just reshaping them. And then I wasn't able to record how I did the vest and the lab coat, but I did write down what I did, so I'll just put it right here, and you can just follow based off of these written things, and you'll be able to have the vests and or the lab coat, depending on which one you want. And that's it. You just made your own Valko. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm sure he came out super cute. I'd love to see it, and I'd appreciate it if you do post it to tag me in anything that you post with him in it so that I can see what you create. Yeah, and just spread the love for Valko. I have faith that if we keep pushing, something will happen. They can't ignore us forever. Let me know if there's any other character you want me to crochet. I'm thinking of crocheting Sukuna in his true form next, but if you have anybody else that you want me to crochet, let me know. Like I said before, I do eventually want to crochet the other lads guys, but I'm gonna wait until Infold gets their shit together. So until that happens, if that happens, it's just gonna be Valko. Just comment down below if you have any questions or concerns, and I will try to answer them as fast as possible. I'd appreciate it also if you like, subscribe, and follow me on all of these social medias, because I'm always posting. I have a lot of things going on right now. I actually am going through a series. I am making a giant tapestry, and I'm updating everybody weekly, or trying to update you guys weekly on that. So if you want to stay tuned for that process, you can look at it on YouTube Shorts, or you can look at it on Instagram. Okay, but with that being said, me and Valko are going to go. Okay, my mom just came home and she brought home some food, so I'm gonna eat. So, goodbye.